All right, so recently we have started to read The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And for this video, I'm going to go into detail about the book and mention some facts and review what's been read. During the video, it is required that you do take notes. Occasionally, a section called Stop and Write will show up on the screen. This is where you will press the pause button and you will write down the question, quote, phrase, whatever it may be, into your notebooks. It is required that you write your answers, thoughts, and points of view down, for they will be needed within class discussions and group meetings during class. You have the choice to work on these questions during the video, after the video, or during the 20-minute free time you have within class. I would not suggest leaving all the questions for the 20-minute free time because you will not have enough time to complete every single question that is asked. It is also important to note that some of these questions are questions you will only find within the book, so it is important to keep up with the readings. I would like to start with this one. This is a Jazz Age novel written in the 1920s, also known as the Roaring Twenties. Earlier this week, we discussed the Roaring Twenties in class. As we now know, it was an era full of new inventions, jazz music, and Americans had more money to spend on consumer goods. But generally, when people talk about the 1920s, prohibition is usually mentioned. In the 18th Amendment, the Constitution banned the manufacture and sale of intoxicating liquors, making it completely illegal to sell. This meant no more bars, saloons, and liquor stores. Now, just because it was illegal does not mean it was fully stopped. Bootleggers and other organized crime figures such as Al Capone took matters into their own hands, who were primarily in charge of making, selling, and transporting liquor that was being illegally made and sold, and pretty much forcing them to go completely underground. Within this book, we are introduced to Nick Carraway, who not only narrates the story, but is also the book within the book's author. In the beginning, we are slightly introduced to who Gatsby is, leaving us with the hint that he is a captivating and mysterious man. Nick leaves Minnesota and he rents a house on a part of Long Island called West Egg, and he also moves in, next to a mansion which happens to be Gatsby's mansion. Now, it is important for us to realize that West Egg is for those with new money, as opposed to East Egg, my apologies, which leaves its readers to realize the differences between the social classes. They tend to pretty much stick on their own. However, Nick is a little different from many of those who inhabit West Egg. He graduated from Yale, which left him with connections on East Egg. This leads us to our introduction of Daisy, who is Nick's cousin, Daisy's friend Jordan, who happens to be a professional golf player, and Daisy's husband Tom, who Nick socialized with at Yale. Quickly, we are able to see that this marriage is far from perfect. Nick goes over to have dinner with them, and it quickly becomes clear that Tom has another lover, and Daisy pretty much knows about it and keeps it to herself and lets it go on without saying anything. And of course it does bother her, but we need to keep in mind this is the 1920s. Times are a lot different back then. Women were more to themselves. Which I know many of you are thinking, why she do this? Why would she put up with this? And with her social upbringing, she feels as if she needs to live in a naive sense of reality. Now, after an uncomfortable dinner, Nick goes home that night and sees Gatsby for the first time. He is standing outside reaching for something across the water. When Nick goes to see what Gatsby is reaching for all he can see is a green light at the end of a dock. In chapter 2, we are shown the Valley of Ashes, and this is where a site in New York where the ashes are dumped. Located in the middle of West Egg in New York, visually the Valley of Ashes is unlike East and West Egg. It is an undesirable place full of misery and poverty. This is where we read about a mysterious billboard with big eyes and a pair of glasses. And these eyes forever are looking upon and staring into the city. And these eyes are from a man named Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, who is an eye doctor that is no longer around. This is a known symbol within the book that Nick does not go into detail explaining, but many do note that they see this as the eyes of God forever looking down upon the city. Right outside the Valley of Ashes, we come to learn this is where George's garage is located, and which happens to be the location of where Tom's mistress, Myrtle, lives. Myrtle is George's wife. Nick and Tom head over there one day and pick her up to go to New York City. They are in an apartment complex where they usually carry on their affair. Within this apartment, a party is thrown. Myrtle's sister and a couple other people join in on the party. They drink the night away, and this is also where Nick began to hear different rumors of Gatsby. And apparently he is a well-known man, and people seem to think they know a lot about him. But the question is, do they really? And during the course of the night, Myrtle gets drunk and mentions Tom's wife. And through this scene, we get more of an insight of Tom's character. Yes, he is cheating on his wife, and yes, it is apparent he doesn't care. However, sickly, we are able to see through this that Tom does indeed love Daisy. If he didn't, he would not try to, quote-unquote, protect her from any woman saying anything bad about her. This scene was also made to exaggerate on the mystery of Gatsby, to build anticipation within the readers, leaving one lingering to find out more. Who is Gatsby? Well, how can you not remember someone who can even resist to talk about someone who throws over-the-top, amazing, luxurious parties at their mansion? It turns out Gatsby's chauffeur gives Nick an invitation to a party Gatsby will be having. At the party, Nick tends to stick to himself because he is unfamiliar with the crowd there. People from both East Egg and West Egg are there, which is usually unusual because, like I said, they don't tend to mix. But in this gathering, they're all there. Who wouldn't want to be there? This is an awesome party another man is having. The liquor is flowing, and they are all having a grand time. And while Nick is wandering through the mansion, he listens in on conversations and rumors going around about this Gatsby. Questions about his wealth and what he does for a living. Who wouldn't talk about a man like this throwing these parties and looking at the place he lives? Nick finds Jordan at the party and run into a man and begin talking to him. And yes, this is the moment we have all been waiting for, the moment when we finally meet Jay Gatsby. Gatsby is a formal man and has a habit of using the term old sport when he's having conversations with others. Nick quickly realizes that Jay Gatsby is a man who likes to stay away from the crowd. He does not drink, and he watches the rest of the party go on in silence. Gatsby in this chapter talks to Jordan in private, and then she leaves the party telling Nick she heard something extraordinary, leaving one to wonder what else is there to know about Gatsby. Now that we are finally introduced to Gatsby, the rest of the book focuses on finding out who he really is. And this whole entire journey is completely interesting. I personally think this book is something that is constantly going. It's not considered dull. I loved this book when I was in high school, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy what you're in for.